let's kind of be real about this, okay? I played a little bit of Fatal Frame, Maiden of Blackwater last night for like at least 2 hours, I think. I joshed around a little bit, but I was kind of intrigued by it. I know I was recommended this game Thursday night by one of my friends. He was like, you need to just try this game out. And was convinced that I would like playing it. It's more of a game for gamers. I highly doubt that because it had like easy mode settings on it once I was able to figure it out. And I had to figure out the inventory menu. I still have to go into the game and figure that out. But either way, he was correct. I do like it. It's a pretty good horror survival game where you're just using like the camera. I mean, I've heard of Fatal Frame, and I did watch a long time ago some of the original stuff for it. But it kind of slipped my head of what the gaming mechanics, what you're required to do in the game. All I know was very horror centered around spirits. That's for sure. That's probably why he recommended it to me, because it had to do a lot with spirits in a way. And I'm a bit of a supernatural freak, obviously. Even though I don't have any religious background to me, I do have a concept of spirituality and the paranormal and these things. These things kind of fascinate me. I'm not an atheist. I believe in something. I just don't believe what religious people believe, okay? Most of the time we can align on some things, but definitely there's some things we can. That's I guess, the aligning part, especially in regards to things that are a bit unknown here. Except I don't believe all spirits are malevolent, obviously. I've had plenty of paranormal experiences that happened to me and my mother. My mother and I seem to attract them quite a bit. Every time I visit her, something's always going on. Even in my own place, things just happen, lights flicker, things move on their own a bit. And I kind of wonder, I was like, okay, how in the world do people constantly question this and have to come up with some rational response to it? But I mean, when you look at Eastern Asian kind of like mythology and folklore, it's fascinating because it's very rooted in spirits. I'm like, obviously this game I'm playing, Fatal Frame, has a lot to do with spirits, the spirits of human beings that have been around in a lot of pain. And of course, it's very much related to mental health a little bit. And of course, there's a lot of spirits in the game that have unalived themselves. But, you know, I've always been attracted to even animes that involve spirits in them. And guess what? Anime made in Japan, most of the stuff, the content of anime is made in Japan. So it's like it has a lot of their belief systems rooted into their animes, especially the more fantasy ones. One of them I was really drawn to right away recently, like as of last year, was the girl who can see them. I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce the Japanese version of the title, but the English translation, The Girl Who Can See Them. Basically, this teenager kind of just wakes up one day and she starts to notice very grotesque looking spirits around her. And first she's thinking she's dreaming in a way, but nope. And then she noticed, I'm like, they would react if they realize they see her. So most of the time throughout the series, she's trying her hardest to not react to them. Because the moment she reacts to them, they go up to her and say, like, can you see me? Like, they would target her. And because her clairvoyance, because that's what the word of her ability is really clairvoyance. The type of medium that can just see spirits. And what was really funny, it really established kind of like the spectrum of how much each medium can actually see, because there's some that can see the small spirits. By the way, this is all entertainment purposes anyway. There are some with sight that can just see the smaller, minuscule spirits, kind of like the less harmful ones. And then there are ones like her who can see the larger ones and even the more malevolent looking entities, and even ones that are kind of guarding the spirit shrines and everything like that. All the shrines throughout, temples and stuff. So like a temple kind of like deity. And that's pretty much showcased really well in the anime, even though it has a lot of fan service. You watch that anime, it has a lot of fan service. That's just the gist of it. But it also tackles on also the same concepts of what I saw in Fatal Frame, whereas how certain spirits are able to have influence over human beings, living beings. Not to, I guess the Fatal Frame takes it to a whole nother degree of basically these human beings, like every living human being is offing themselves. Like the spirit has so much control over that person that they would just unalive themselves the same way the spirit wants them to or happen to them. And I'm like, that's just insane. That I guess that's why my friend thought I would get interested in that, because he did market it to me in that way, talking about that very specific scene that happened in last night's playing of the girl who basically couldn't control herself, and she took the knife and just one distracting moment, that was it. She basically hacked her neck. And it's sad in a way, because I'm like, these players are obviously moody, depressed. There's something going on. Obviously, this is very Yuri coded. And it's kind of funny that the protagonist I'm playing, that is kind of like the shadow reader, her first name is Yuri. I'm like, okay. So it's kind of funny. But how Eastern tradition is able to just kind of establish that concept really well. And even in last year, I was playing a Thai independent horror game called Home Sweet Home. You could check it out if you want, but there's a lot of like big streamers that played that game. It's absolutely terrifying, and it plays on the same concept of basically souls that are so tormented by things that they did while they were alive that they stay on Earth reliving the same torment and suffering all over again, and they become kind of like this grotesque kind of like spirit that's just haunting and plaguing people and everything, to the point where it's just like, wow. But it was very terrifying. Fatal Frame, it's quite terrifying, but it's kind of funny because the women they have in here are so pretty, and then they make the spirit ladies that are supposed to scare the crap out of you look way too busty in their kimonos, and I'm like laughing to myself. This is kind of like survival horror satire. It's kind of like fan service, just like in The Girl Who Could See Them. They added in all these like ridiculous fan service moments, especially among the main character and her friend. So that's the thing also, because this girl, I'm talking about the anime, the protagonist, because she has this sight and she ends up seeing her friend being basically haunted by another spirit, a spirit that is basically like the embodiment of gluttony. And that spirit has so much power and hold over her friend that he was like sucking all the nutrients out of her. So the girl was always constantly hungry, and she was eating a lot. She was never satisfied or satiated in any form of way. And it's because the spirit was making her hungry. It was taking all the nutrients from the things she was eating out of her. And that's actually very common, to be honest with you, where I guess I'm a little bit more familiar with it because I've been around people from the Eastern tradition side. It's kind of the location of where I am, but it's also something rooted in my culture on my mom's side as well, that, you know, there's just this thing have a lot to do with like feeding spirits, and the spirits can actually take food. They'll take nutrients from the food, the energy from the food. It's an interesting thing. I know I'm just like, I'm throwing myself off the entertainment end here of talking about the paranormal and the supernatural here, but I guess it falls within the concept of the game I'm playing right now, as well as the type of anime I watch as well. But push comes to shove, the protagonist, because the spirit was leeching so much from her friend, he was just big, grotesque, and this type of spirit that would crush other spirits and wouldn't let any other spirit get near the girl. It was just like, it's like I said, the embodiment of gluttony there. And this girl, the protagonist, really wanted to help her friend, but didn't know how. And she didn't want to react to the spirits around her so they would notice her. So really, she took her friend with her to a shrine, temple shrine, and literally prayed to the deity of that shrine for any help. And guess what? In the anime, a deity did show up and was able to help her, but it comes at a price, by the way. I don't necessarily know what the price is, but the spirit, the deity, agreed to help her 3 times and everything. So she would get help from this temple shrine spirit that was strong enough to be able to fight off that kind of malevolent spirit that was leeching all of that energy. And the reason why that spirit was leeching off of her friend in the first place is because the girl, her friend, basically had a lot of bright energy. She was like a beacon to all these spirits. And that's why that big spirit latched himself to her and made sure other spirits didn't get near her. It was like hoarding her, basically. But the moment he was basically destroyed or exorcised or whatnot by the temple deity, the girl ended up feeling better and she wasn't as hungry anymore and she felt more normal. So maybe I can play this on the game. I haven't gotten far in the game, but I'm going to continue to play it. I think it plays as the same thing, that, you know, like these people, living people, are being influenced by spirits in a lot of different ways, to where they're doing horrible things to each other, or they get into a certain mood where they're just not feeling any light or happiness and joy, and they end up being depressed, all that stuff, to the point where they end up at this shrine in that mountain in the forest in the first place, and end up becoming basically prey to the spirits, to be able to have them do those things, to be able to basically unalive themselves. And therefore it's very interesting for me to even discuss something like this in the first place. But it's fun topic. It's an interesting topic. It's the reason why I like writing in the first place and coming up with stories through these processes. Able to like dive into different cultures and their mythology and folklore, and it's all very interesting to me. Obviously there's a lot of things in the unknown that we do not know. I'm like, to this day, even psychiatrists and psychologists have to admit there's just certain things with people they can't explain. They can't explain why the mass majority has become the way they are. You can't explain it. And that's because it's just like, it is unexplainable. Unless someone makes something, a machine to explain it, science can't explain everything. We're not that smart yet. We're not that intelligent. We like to think we are, but we're not. I'm like, at least we're able to make devices like this, maybe understand a little bit more about human psychology and how our brain functions, our mood, where it comes from, what triggers our traumas, what is trauma that used to not even be a concept So no one even thought that, you know, at the average day person could have PTSD other than seeing war or a very traumatic situation, you know, from violence. But it's like all sorts of things that can just bring on so much mental health problems and reshape our brains in a lot of different ways. And I'm like, you know, and then they never knew that there was just a whole spectrum of people that are neurologically built differently. We are all wired differently. There's the reason why I have ADHD. I just ended up being wired differently in the womb and everything. And guess what? My mom and my dad, they all are neurodivergent, and then they all have their own deficits and they have their own things that they highlight themselves in. Obviously, they were able to make a very good life for themselves, even with all those things. It was just kind of like if they knew earlier on, they'd probably treat themselves better. It's the same with me. The moment I realized I have ADHD and I'm not neurotypical, I gave myself a lot more grace with things that I have done in my life. I don't give myself shit in hell anymore for how I think, how my racing thoughts keep me up all night, and the fact that I have to solve a problem no matter what. If I'm stuck on a problem, I want to solve it. Okay, I will lose sleep. I will not eat. I will not engage in anything until that problem is solved. I will dream of several different solutions to that. But I guess I'm going off on a tangent here, but you know, I like Japanese horror. I like how they're able to dive into these things that can make us really question reality. It's thought provoking when done correctly. I'm like, despite Fatal Frame being so pushed into the direction of having very pretty ladies and busty female ghosts and stuff, it does lay on a little bit more thought. It's like, wow, like these spirits are gaining control of living people and having them do these horrible things to themselves and get caught in the middle of this is kind of scary. And also with the anime that I watched, I'm like, geez, man, several different types of spirits of all kind. I would suggest checking that out, by the way, peeps. I'm like, it's the girl who can see them. They have it on Crunchyroll. You can watch it. I'm like, it's a good opportunity to get addicted to anime because we all need to just check out for a little bit as the world is turning into, or at least the United States is turning into shit right now. So just like, if you need to escape into some delicious anime, play some games. You can go and dive into Fatal Frame like I am and have a good time. I know later on I'm going to be playing like The Last of Us Part 2 on my PS4 for my subscribers. I'm going to stream it, by the way. But either way, people, you have a good one.